Hey guys, it's Xenofang here. Today we're going to be going over the Insect Glaive for Monster Hunter World. It's another build guide, of course. And for this, I would like to go ahead and start with, there's multiple ways you can build the Insect Glaive. There really isn't any set way to do it. There's lots of builds out there, or lots of weapons out there that are really kind of set for what they're made for. But the Insect Glaive can be played so many ways. You can build it so you're just dealing damage on the ground. You don't have to do the whole flying attack things and stuff like that. Even though it's a part of the build, you can make it as a mounting build. You can make it as a crit build. You can make it as a status effect build. You can make it as a stun build. There's just so much to it and stuff, and it was really hard for me to sit there and actually make a build particularly for it because there's so many ways to do it and stuff. But I was settled on a elemental build because I really haven't actually sat there and done a really good elemental build, except for, like, for instance, the status build I made the other time, which was a poison build. But this is an elemental build, specifically built around the Insect Glaive. I'd like to say again, elementals are just kind of niche in this game. They're not really amazing because for the most part all the monsters in this game have their weaknesses towards other elementals and stuff, so this is kind of its own thing. If you fight against a monster that's not particularly weak to this, it's going to take a longer period of time. As you guys are going to see at the end of the gameplay, I just chose a monster that isn't weak to fire, just to show off that I can still dodge around and stuff like that. I have no issue with fighting the monster, which I chose Odegaron because he's fast, he attacks repetitively, and I feel like the Insect Glaive is actually a really good weapon for fighting against it because you have so much mobility, and that's the advantage of the Insect Glaive. As addition to that, you can apply buffs and have your insect attack things, which is really, really good. And I'm not going to be going over any attacks this time. I'm not going to go over any attacks in the little training room this time. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys look at the gameplay and make your decision on your own. Because even with the Insect Glaive build I made, I feel like it's still very, very set forward for one particular playing style alone. And I feel like you guys should seriously take this as its own way and just make it your own. There's just so many ways you could build an Insect Glaive build, but this is the particular one I like to use, especially when I'm trying to fight Kirin or other monsters that are really weak towards fire. So we're going to go ahead and get on to it. I pretty much went with the maxed out Raffian, Rathalos' version, which I had to go and get the blue Rathalos a whole bunch just to max it out. It gives me a total, let's just go ahead and check real quick. It gives me 20 affinity, which is really good if I want to land a lot of crits, which that's what I was really going for. Fire, and then it gives me a really high damage base stat. 2 augment slots, which I can augment it twice, which is really, really good. And then it's got 1 slot for a gem or decoration if you want. Of course, a small decoration. Charm, I went for attack charm. You guys are going to see a major pattern with most of my build guides. I'm going to try to switch it up and actually make some more variety version of build guides just so I can have some really fun builds that you could just mess around with. Not something you would really want to take seriously, just to enjoy and play with. But for the most part, I always stick with my attack boost. It always gives me that 3% additional damage. It's really good, which means I don't have to run multiple pieces of gear to give me that max attack boost. I can just, spread it out a bit more. Affinity booster, I'm not so sure if I would consider this a necessary and not so necessary. I mean, you don't have to run this. You get a lot of affinity out of the build anyways. But I always like to get that tip-top affinity amount that you can get from the build, and that's kind of the reason why I use it. If I'm already at the max affinity with any of my builds, I'll usually just use it just to support my teammates. That's what I would use it for. It's not really something I would particularly recommend all the time. Again, you guys can choose what you want for your, your glaives or whatever, and your vitality mantles. There's just so many ways you can do with it. Let's go ahead and look at my insect for this. Now, I went with a insect that ends up giving me additional elemental. It gives me more elemental damage, but it gives me paralyze dust, which ends up making it so whenever I hit the paralyze, it'll stun the monster. Now, there's more insects you can go with, but I wanted a kind of a speedy one so I can get my buffs fast. I can get healing back from it. Honestly, you could have went with a power speed one if you wanted to, but I wanted to paralyze. That's what I really wanted, to stun the monster now and then, which you'll see in the gameplay. I did stun the monster a good bit with this, so that's not an issue. Vitality Mantle, because I like to take more damage. All right, so let's go ahead and get onto the gear pieces. Now, I went for the I tried to get the 2-set Raffian, or Rathalos. I keep on saying Raffian. I'm sorry, guys. Rathalos. I ended up going with attack bonus on the helmet and fire attack because more damage. That's kind of what I wanted to go with. For the chest plate, oh, I didn't mean to take that off. I was just trying to look at it. I went with the weakness exploit, and fire attack. Turtle will give me the elemental boost or element or crit element for the 2-set, which ends up making it so whenever I actually land crits, it does more elemental damage, which is really good. Allows me to not stack so much into fire attack, even though you guys already seen I've already got 2 pieces into fire attack. Go on to Nergante's gauntlets, which give me agitator and attack bonus, more damage and stuff. Not exactly necessary. You could go with something else if you would like, but I think agitator's not that bad because it gives you more damage, and that's what I was going for, just flat damage with the build with fire. Odogaron's weird waist thingy, or coil, as you want to say. B for the extra gem slot, and critical eye, just to get more crit from it. I've already got weakness exploit 2, so I don't really need to stack that much into weakness exploit, or more crits than what I have. There's a lot of other ways I can go with. And I feel like, you know, Maximum Might, for instance, I would usually use that with most of my crit builds, but since I'm wasting stamina a lot, I don't think it's very good with this. And to top it all off, I went with a weakness exploit pants, or from Raphalos. You can go with something optional. I think the Jump Master does not work with the Insect Glaive. I don't know what it is, but I feel like certain weapons, for instance, the Insect Glaive and the, what is it called, the Sword and Shield, Jump Master doesn't work with. It only works whenever you jump off of an area, which is kind of weird. I thought it would work with the Insect Glaive because you're kind of jumping all the time, but I guess that's not the case. Slot-wise, we only have 1 slot there. We're not getting a lot of slots from our weapons. It's really from our what is it called, from the weapon and from the boots. That's all we're getting. We're not getting a lot of slots, which means we have very limited decoration. So I went with attack and, you know, extra critical eye. Again, you can choose what jewels you want to go with and stuff. You can always honestly just change up the build if you want. But let's go ahead and get over all of the stats and stuff we have. So we get attack boost 7, which, you know, maxes out the damage potential we can get from the weapon. Critical eye 3, which ends up giving us more affinity. Weakness exploit, again, gives us more affinity when we hit weak points. And with the Insect Glaive, you kind of got a wide sweep, so you're going to hit weak points regardless. Fire attack 2, could be higher, could be up to 3, so we get that max damage potential from it. But we have critical element, which ends up giving us more elemental damage, which in turn gets rid of the weakness that we have from the build, you know, that less fire damage, which, you know, isn't really that bad because we're getting a lot of extra damage from the build. Agitator 2, more damage, and then Jump Master, again, not very necessary. Honestly, it's a very straightforward build, very heavy damage focused, not really a lot of variety in the build, which sometimes is a nice thing, sometimes is a bad thing. There's the stats right there, 701 damage for the base, and then affinity, you know, 35 affinity, and then fire elemental is at 230, which you can see it's in the orange now, which means it's at its max potential for its damage output. And then that's pretty much it. The negatives are, again, the sharpness, the weapons, sharpness, insect glaives, long swords, and dual blades. They go for sharpness pretty quick. So you could probably go with a, you know, for instance, a handicraft or a sharpness build if you'd like. But again, this is just my build. This is the one I like to use. So this is what I have. There's definitely ways I can improve on it. I feel like once I play with the Insect Glaive a lot more and get a little more well-suited to the Insect Glaive, that I could probably make better builds for it. But I just want to get kind of an elemental build. This is my first like actual elemental build on the channel. And since one of you guys would like to see the Insect Glaive, I went for it. I want to see how well it is. It's a very fun weapon to use, though I feel like it takes a lot of practice because there's so much you have to do. You have to manage your buffs, manage your insect, keep on remembering the dashes or the dust. That can apply statuses to your monster. You have to remember to jump. You can use mounting. It's very, very vast. There's a lot to it and stuff. So on that note, that's pretty much the build all in its entirety. Hopefully that's good enough for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the build. Maybe you guys will end up coming up with the insect glaive builds you would like me to try out in comment section below. You know, I actually am looking for new insect glaives builds, and just in that, I'd like to start making a series where I take some of your guys' ideas and you know, make builds and then give you guys full credit for those, just to see what we can do as a community. On that, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time. Bye, guys. Alright guys, so we're going to be fighting Odogaron right now with the Insect Glaive build. I'm not so sure how weak Odogaron is to fire. It's only a 1-star into fire, so this build is probably not the best suited for this, but I feel like just for demonstration purposes, I don't feel like I should use the most, like, fight a monster that's like super weak to
this particular element. I don't think that the build should just be based off of fire, even though for the most part it is. I mean, you guys have already seen that it's like maxing attack bonus and stuff like that, weakness, and going into that fire element a bit. So we'll get in here. There he goes. Actually, just send out the insect and get ourselves a little bit of a damage. Get ourselves our buffs real quick. The insect glaive, I feel really mobile. Should be our damage. I'm gonna try to get it, see if I can paralyze it. No. Alright, so what we're gonna do is put on the vitality mantle real quick. We need to keep it over here. I put the insects like got paralyzed on it and stuff, which is good. Even though it's a fire, it's still fire. Mount it. So, something I didn't know about the insect glaive that I found out very soon afterwards I did is that pretty much like you can go from part to part and actually do more damage that way. I think that's really good. I paralyzed at that time by the thing. Sadly, I mounted the monster already, so it doesn't really matter. Some damage there. Right. Gotta keep my buffs up. I like the numbers though. The numbers I'm getting from this build is actually pretty good. Ooh. So we got a lot of paralyzed things going around him. See if we can get any of those activated. Yeah. Ooh. Might be back a bit. I want that damage resistance buff, that'd be nice. I'm not using my affinity booster, even though I should be. Okay, I get bleed effect on me. I'm gonna go ahead and stand still for a sec. Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. Hey! Good stuff. The one thing I don't like about the insect glaive that I'm starting to realize is really well is that, you know, it wastes a lot of sharpness very quick. I'm not so sure if I'm a big fan of that yet. Ah, dang it. And sometimes the directions of where you want to go doesn't actually work out the way you want it to be. Though that could just come with me not having that much experience with it. I need to sharpen my weapon. Mounted it again. Cool stuff. Oh, get back on it. Not today, Odeground. Like, I like seeing all the crits, you know, I love seeing that. But I usually majorly, I build my builds more so around crits and stuff in some sort of way or form. And this build, I feel like with building with the insect glaive gives you a lot of chances with the fire elements, which is really good. Alright, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the sec to sharpen. Come on, sharpen faster, sharpen faster. Ah, war! Come on, really? Nope, nope. I got me there. See, I feel like Odogaron set, for instance, would actually be very, very good with the insect glaive. Because of sharpness. I'll take that. Even though the Dragonator is there for me to use, I'm not going to use it. Doing another paralyze on it. I think we cut off its tail. Alright, sharpness time. As much as I would love to be hitting it and stuff like that, getting more damage output, I'd rather have the extra blue sharpness I can get. There we go, paralyze. You know, just actually get some basic hits off. Like, look at those numbers. You know, they're mainly crits, and I'm not even stacked that. Like, I've got a decent amount of crit on the build, right? But with the 3, or I think it's the 2 set, like Raphalos, I end up getting a lot more elemental damage out of my build because of it too, which is great. Which means I can stack a little bit less into fire. I haven't actually sat there and really worried about an elemental build in a while, besides the poison build. So this is like the first one, like, besides the other one. Let's go ahead and bring the back real quick. No. The insect out there. Go ahead, keep the tail. My back. The base. I didn't hit. Ah, I didn't mean to do that double jump there. Starting to slow down a bit. You know, again, I could be doing so much things so much better and stuff. Like, if I had more practice with the weapon, I could definitely get more things out. If I was using a better elemental type for this fight could last a lot longer. You know? But in general, the build works. That's the point. Like, for mobility's sake, really good. And especially when you're fighting something like Odogaron, which has so much speed and stuff, this is a great thing to use. Insect glaives are really good for that, because you've got so much mobility. I'm gonna get hit here. I'm not even using my affinity booster that much because there's just so much I have to pay attention to, I feel like. Don't know where he is. Ooh, you got me there. Go ahead and use our vitality mantle. If I'm not, I'm stunned. This could be me dead, guys. Ooh. Wow, I am lucky. Lucky enough that my cat was there. But you guys are seeing the sharpness issues, right? Like, my sharpness just keeps on going down into the green. Which, I mean, it's not bad. I'm still getting damage output from it. Anycroft could be good with this, the insect glaive. Oh, there we go. He's almost done. Couple more hits and he would be finished. Yo, you can make actually a really good mounting build too with the insect glaive, because it's actually really easy to mount. I'm gonna die. I gotta get rid of the bleed. This is where I need my jerky, right? Come on, get it finished. And let's get down. No, for instance, that just does the basic attacks you can dodge and stuff. It's just really good. Fight's taking way too long. There you go. Alright, so that's the build in action and stuff like that, playing with it and messing around. You can see I can paralyze the monster. Fire is doing actually half decent damage. You can see all the crits and things. Though I feel like with my experience with the insect glaive, I probably could do better if I had more practice with it. It's just that if I went and actually fought something like Odogaron, I probably wouldn't use this build. But like, I wanted to show you guys that it can work against other monsters. It's not just the monsters it's well suited for. You know, I feel like the fire effect in general isn't the best set, like, thing you can use. There's so many other elements out there that are just kind of better off. But for any monster out there that is particularly weak to fire, this build will work very well. You guys will have no issue. You know, you'll kick Kieran's butt. Liliana, even though it's weak 2 and fire, you'll have no issue with it. Odogaron, as you can see, it's really easy to just dodge around and stuff like that, and just kind of keep on hitting it. There was some definitely shady moments within that fight that I probably could have done that better. But again, that's not the build's fault. That's my fault. If I was a little more experienced and stuff like that, definitely could have done that easier. But hopefully that shows off the build for you guys, and you might want to like try it out. I feel like I'm gonna have to do more insect glaive builds in the future. I just feel like there's probably more builds I can do. This weapon in general, like there's certain weapons that you have like very set ways of doing it. The insect glaive has a lot of variety to it, and there's so many ways you can build it. You can build it as a crit build, you can build it as a basic elemental build for statuses if you want to, or you can build it as a heavy hitter with a non-base elemental. You know, you can do so much with it. You can make it as a mounting build, as a support build. There's a lot, just a lot you can do. So on that note, guys, hopefully that was enough. Hopefully that was good enough for you guys. Thanks for watching.